positioning Nagpur as a city which has a better infrastructure than most other cities in India. And secondly, how IIM Nagpur is a crown jewel in Nagpur. I think that inspired a discussion which said the best way to share that success is number one, to bring some of the leaders of India to Nagpur. Those leaders coming and discussing some of the topics which are relevant to the students, relevant to the the local industry, relevant to the Indian industry, and also with the academia. I think that will inspire people to come here and also take part into the journey of IIM Nagpur. The naming was the easiest part because Britishers called Nagpur a Zero Mile city just because it is the center of India. And so the Zero Mile Samvad or a summit is more about all of us having a discussion with the startups, with the policymakers, with the economists, with the industry leaders, with the academia. We have professors traveling in from US, and the whole debate is 5 trillion when? Is it 26 or 28? And beyond 5 trillion, when do we get to 30 trillion? So it's an interesting day, interesting debate. I'm looking forward to these 2 days, and I'm happy that the catalyst was this debate in the boardroom.
Right, that's great. So you're shaping young minds, which will later take over the world in the future. Tell us, what do you expect from the future generation and regarding our goal achieving the 5 trillion economy?
Ultimately the future belongs to them. Future belongs to the youth of this country. I think what I personally look at the younger generation, and when I look at some of these, young entrepreneurs, the unicorns, most of them are run by the young entrepreneurs. I'm really inspired by their original thinking, their energy, and their desire to become not only a prominent force in India, but also to take a global stage. So I think it's a future belongs to the youth, and the youth are already demonstrating exponential thinking. They are no longer restrained by some of the constraints. And I think in a lot of ways, the government has also done a great job of building digital infrastructure and the physical infrastructure, because earlier focus probably was more about physical infrastructure, not the digital infrastructure. And I think the government of India has done a great job. So the youth knows that they will get support also.
That's great. My last question is, how does sustainability and development go hand in hand when we look forward to the future?
Ultimately, most of us have to understand what is right and what is wrong. As far as I am concerned, for example, India was one of the few countries where ethanol is allowed to be blended at 10%. There is talk about 20%. But to me, that's not enough. We should be talking about 100% ethanol. So my point is very simple, is that, like for example, when I look at the fuel policy, I look at the hydrogen policy, but I don't look at what is called the 3G fuel, where you're not dependent on any other product as a raw material to create a fuel. What I'm trying to emphasize here is that alternatives are available. It's the same way when you started the solar energy, it started at 15 rupees a power unit, a kilowatt hour. Today it is at 2 rupees 30 paisa, 2 rupees 90 paisa. It's lower than the power that you get from the grid from the state electricity boards. So the initial part the government will have to handhold. I mean, I was reading about algae-based, fuel. It is called A2O. The cost of production is double the size of the barrel of the fossil fuel. A barrel of fossil fuels is $70. This was $150. And somebody said, you should never try algae fuel. I said, first 2 years is when the government will have to handhold. After that, sustainability and development will go together. You don't have to subsidize it.
I have another question. What do you think about how can India contribute to the COP26 discussion, and is India taking the right steps when it comes to sustainability and climate change?
I think we have some of the challenges. I mean, first we have to solve the Delhi being a gas chamber, or many of the Indian cities AQI levels being severe or at a dangerous levels. COP 28 or 24, whatever the discussions are, I mean, they're clearly interesting discussions, but I still strongly believe that the global governments or the leaders will have to be a lot more decisive than what they are today.
Okay, one final question. What does Nagpur as a city, with its rich culture and how developed it is, has to offer to the rest of the world?
The best part about Nagpur is, I've been coming to Nagpur for 7 years now, because I was part of the IIM Nagpur fabric. Best part about Nagpur is the infrastructure. The best part of the Nagpur is, other than those 2 or 3 summer months, clean air. The best part of Nagpur is it's very affordable. Best part of Nagpur is that it is also, I personally believe, the medical capital of India, because the number of doctors per square kilometers is probably higher than anywhere else. The good education system. So, frankly, I think Nagpur has a huge potential to succeed, and IIM Nagpur will contribute to that success. It can be the logistics capital of India, and Nagpur has a potential to grow 10x.